welcome back to Rod Reacts. Hopefully we can learn a lot about India in this documentary type film. That's the quest of this channel, is to learn everything about India. So if you have any recommendations about India, it can be about anything about India, definitely comment down below and I'll try to react to them. I'll get to them. But for now, we're going to react to 5,000 years history of India documentary. So that's a heck of a lot of history. One of the oldest, if not the oldest places on Earth. I'm sure there's places in the Middle East that's just as old or older, but India is a very, 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 very long history part of this Earth. So let's check it out. Let's see what we can learn. Fill me in on some stuff that they may not talk about. I want to learn, increase my knowledge about India. Let's do this.
The modern nation of India derives its English name from the Indus River in modern-day Pakistan.
I've learned something new.
It was around this river valley where the oldest Indian civilization was formed. Through archaeological records, we know that they traded with the world's oldest cities in Sumeria.
That's cool.
There, they witnessed the world's oldest metropolises, where a labyrinth of busy, cramped, winding streets filled the city in a chaotic fashion. They bore witness to merchants tracking their wares in the oldest of written languages, fantastic marketplaces. They saw the amazing benefits of the wheel in
the way this guy is telling the story of India, that makes me just want to go visit right now. The problem with being one of the oldest civilizations, when new ones crop up, they want what you have. So, you know, people from other places want what India has because India has so much back then compared to other places. You're going to be attacked because, unfortunately, greed is part of this world. That's the downside of that. But apparently they had a big thing to do with the will, so that's awesome.
Transportation, construction, and warfare. Fantastic temples, skilled metalworkers, and mighty kings.
Absolutely.
When they returned home from the long trek, one thing we know definitely made an impression on them.
What?
The place stank. Sewage ran open onto the streets, and sanitation was severely lacking by their standards.
That ain't good.
Then, something spectacular happened.
Sewer system.
They became history's first great master plumbers. Using the power of the Indus River, they created covered sewers, indoor wells in every home,
smart people,
private restrooms, and with millions of identical bricks, they created spacious homes on a grid-like pattern with large ventilated granaries in every city. Then the population skyrocketed, and in an area larger than Mesopotamia or ancient Egypt, their civilization flourished. With more than 2,000 cities and towns, the Indus Valley civilization became the most populous on Earth.
That's impressive, starting from so small, just a boom! But it's cool that they created basically the first waterworks sewer system, I suppose. Didn't know that. Now I do. Now I do.
Their merchant fleets created a massive trade network along the Persian Gulf Coast to Mesopotamia, Arabia, and back. They would develop their own intricate and unique written language, which has never been deciphered.
Really?
And bears no
Never?
Similarity to any other known written language. The names of their kings, gods, wars, great triumphs and failures, and even their great cities' names have faded away.
That's sad.
Around 1500 BC,
that is sad.
a series of unfortunate events began that would doom this civilization.
Uh-oh.
First, the climate. Many of the tributaries of the Indus River, which their cities depended on, drastically changed course, flooding some cities and turning others into derelict husks.
That's the problem over, you know, since Bible times. If you even go back to Bible times and the Noah story, the flood, the water. Water is so strong, water is so powerful, it can destroy, but we need water to survive. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. We need the water. Let's just, you know, hopefully the water plays nice.
That slowly were covered by the sands of time. And if surviving the weather was not enough, then came the Aryans.
Right.
They too had suffered from climactic change. Their river valley homes around what is today Turkmenistan had dried up, and they were seeking greener pastures for their large herds of cattle and horses.
Gotta survive.
They were among the first to domesticate the horse and use the increased mobility to transplant their people onto the Iranian plateau, and then they crossed the Suleiman and Hindu Kush mountain ranges into the Indus Valley. There, the vestiges of the already decimated Indus Valley civilization were wiped from all human knowledge or recollection until their remains were excavated in the early 20th century.
I wonder how much is buried, not just around the world, but let's just say India. How much is buried under the soil? How much history is there to be found? I bet there's a ton out there. But where? Where to dig? I don't know. But hopefully we find more, so that way we can learn more about the world's history.
The Aryans founded several kingdoms along the Ganges River. We know their names and mythological histories because their epics and language have survived till today, and is the basis for many of today's Indian languages. Throughout the period known as the Vedic Age, these Aryan kingdoms would constantly wage war on each other. During this time, the
War
Hindu faith
kills you.
developed alongside the Mahabharata, the longest poem ever written. Some have compared this work to the impact of the Bible, Quran, and the epics of Homer.
That's amazing. 200,000 verses in one writing. That's a long poem. How long is it going to take you to read that poem? And what is it about? What is it about?
A social class or caste system would also develop during the Vedic Age. At the top were the Brahmin or priests. Below them were the Kshatriyas, the ruling warrior and kingly class.
Okay.
Then came the Visayas, the skilled workers, merchants, and minor officials.
That's weird because Visayas is a place in the Philippines. They use Visayas to name part of the Philippines, the center part of the Philippines.
The Sudras were the lowest class and consisted of unskilled workers. People were expected to eat with and marry within their own caste. Breaking the caste system's rules meant that one was a pariah, or outcast or untouchable. Society's worst and least desirable jobs were left for this class, such as street cleaning and sewage cleaning. In 518 BC, the Persian Achaemenid Empire's armies would cross the Indus.
Are you over 25? Have a clean driving record? No DUIs? You can drop your
Hindu Kush mountains, as their Aryan cousins had done 1,000 years before,
Right.
and subjugated the myriad of principalities that dotted the western Indus Valley. In the east arose a powerful king, Mahapadmananda, in the region of Magadha. He was a son of a king, but he was considered of low birth because of his mother, who was of the Sudras caste.
Oh, really?
His rise to power was opposed by his brothers who were of full royal blood. This, however, did not hold him back, as he had them eliminated.
I mean, if you got it, you got it. And apparently this guy got it because he beheaded all his brothers on his way to power. I mean, to gain the power that he had, you got to do things like that. You just do.
Mahapadmananda would subjugate kingdom after kingdom, creating a true empire in his own name.
Wow.
He amassed a gigantic army of over 200,000 men, thousands of elephants, and chariots.
That's impressive.
After Mahapadmananda's death, his son would succeed him to the throne. It was during his reign that Alexander of Macedon conquered the Achaemenid Persian Empire, crossed the Hindu Kush,
Oh my goodness.
defeated their vassals and hostile kingdoms in the region. These two empires, however, would not last.
No.
Alexander
Never
would
do.
die young, and the Nanda Empire would soon be overthrown by Chandragupta.
Chandragupta. Where'd he come from?
Surviving sources written long after his death vary widely on whether he was born a commoner or of regal descent. Also, whether he overthrew the Nanda Empire easily or through a long war of conquest.
I bet it wasn't easy.
According to one account, he met Alexander the Great and started his consolidation in the Punjab region, there taking the Greek satrapies and moving eastward. After his death, his
That
son
makes sense.
maintained his empire, but it would be his grandson, Ashoka, who would be the most famous king of the Mauryan dynasty. Ashoka was violent and power-hungry as a young man, and according to one source, he killed 99 of his brothers to secure the throne. He would expand his...
Did they say 99 brothers just gone? Like, sorry bros, I want the power. You gotta go. I don't want to mess with that guy.
empire east into what is today Myanmar, and west to the borders of modern-day Iran and into Afghanistan. He would expand into the south.
Bloody
and in
history.
the 8th year of his reign, he would wage war on the small but powerful state of Kalinga.
What a
Their
bloody
large
history.
army would not be enough to defend their kingdom. And in a short war, over 100,000 would die on both sides.
Wow.
And then, something strange happened. He felt bad.
What?
Ashoka converted to Buddhism and promoted peace, respect, and harmony within society.
So you played in a part of hundreds and thousands of deaths, and then you feel bad, and we're like, well, sorry, I'm going to change. I'm not going to be bloody like that. Whew. I don't know.
He erected pillars stating his vision for a different type of society all over his kingdom. He ruled out the rest of his 36-year reign in peace and prosperity. However,
Man can
only
change.
50 years after his death, his empire would fragment into violent chaos once again. Buddhism, which was prevalent in Ashoka's reign, would gradually fade away in India, but
That's,
thrived in the Far East. Over the centuries, many kingdoms would rise and fall in the Indian subcontinent. The Gupta Empire was considered a golden age for art, architecture, and scholarly pursuits.
That's cool. That's an important age.
But none would come close to Ashoka's. Until the Mughal Empire. These invaders from the north were descendants of the Mongols. They would propagate Islam in India and rule there for almost 300 years.
So, like, is it, you know, descendants of Genghis Khan, maybe? Like, Genghis Khan was kind of a bloody kind of guy, too.
During the reign of Akbar the Great, he tripled the size and wealth of the Mughal Empire. He was a vicious conqueror, but a just ruler. He would abolish the jizya, the infidel tax on non-Muslims, and elevated non-Muslims to high civil and military positions throughout his kingdom. He built libraries and schools across his realm for both Muslims and Hindus. The Ibadat Khana
did
was
do
a
good.
magnificent building that he erected as a meeting house for religious scholars from different religious groups to conduct discussions and peaceful debates on religious beliefs. There could be found Muslims, Hindus, Jains, Christians, and Buddhists discussing the finer points of human existence.
Wow, big mix.
After Akbar's death, the Mughal Empire would continue to expand. However, over the generations, the empire gradually became less tolerant, and the empire was weakened by tension between the majority Hindu population and the Muslim ruling class.
They come and they go. They come and they go.
Also, the increased complacency and corruption that the ruling class became accustomed to after so many years of prosperity made them vulnerable. This was a situation that the Dutch, Portuguese, French, and English all sought to exploit. The British East India Company, with their vast private armies, eventually winning out, taking control of southern India first, and then gradually
Damn the British.
extending their influence over the whole subcontinent.
They're always
Through
taking stuff
extortion,
over.
bribery, and military engagements. The Mughal Empire was finally brought to an end in the Indian Rebellion of 1857. This was an insurrection against the British East India Company that functioned as a sovereign power on
Right.
behalf of the British Crown. Someone had the not-so-bright idea to issue ammunition that had been wrapped in pig's fat to the company's troops. This offended both Hindus and
Right?
Muslims alike,
You shouldn't do
and
that.
led to a series of unfortunate events that ended in a defeated rebellion and over 800,000 dead. After the
800,000.
rebellion, Britain would directly rule India. In World War I, over 1 million Indian troops would fight the German Empire overseas. In World War II, the British took volunteers, and by 1945 had raised 2.5 million men,
That's a lot of
the
men.
largest all-volunteer force in history. After the war, in 1947, India obtained its independence from Great Britain by an act of parliament. The two regions with the highest density Islamic populations were partitioned off, forming West and East Pakistan. In the months that followed the partition, Approximately
Learning.
15 million people migrated from their ancestral homelands to the nation whose majority shared their same religion. The chaotic mass migration saw
makes sense.
ever-escalating and retaliatory acts of violence committed against Hindus and Muslims alike, and a series of tragic massacres.
What a bloody
Over 1
history.
million
We all
people
do
would
we all
die
one.
during this period of resettlement. Tensions are still high between these two nuclear-armed neighbors. India is now the world's largest democracy. Recently, they have elected a religious minority, and a member of a lower caste as prime ministers.
Modi.
India is the third largest economy in the world and is rapidly growing, and is expected to exceed China in population in the near future.
Wow.
This has been Epimetheus. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and hit the bell icon next to...
That was an impressive video. Definitely go subscribe to his channel if you liked it, because I learned so much. But what a bloody history. I think most countries, for the most part, do have a bloody history. Whether they wanted to be involved or not. Whether they were being raided, or were they, be doing the raiding. And it sounds like a lot of people wanted to control India. And over the years, certain people did. But India came victorious of independence, which is awesome. I just wish there was more peace on this earth, but as long as there's greed and as long as there's humans, I don't think there ever will be peace, because, people want power. Countries want power, unfortunately. So I don't know about the peaceful thing. I don't think that's ever going to happen fully. Just not going to. There's 5,000 years of blood, throughout India. That is proof of it's not going to happen. But I learned a lot. What did you learn? What do you want me to learn next? What do you want me to react to next? Comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, share the video, like, all those things. And I'll definitely see you next time. Peace.